Ladies and gentlemen, a new version of Minecraft has been released. This is version 1.14.4 of Minecraft Java Edition. If you don't know which version that is, that's the one that you get directly from Minecraft.net and that runs from the Minecraft launcher. This is expected to be the final release on the Minecraft 1.14 line. But one of the major focus points for Minecraft 1.15 will be a continuation of the quality improvement and performance work from Minecraft 1.14. From a minor release like this, you can expect performance improvements, bug fixes, and some tweaks to existing gameplay behaviors rather than new features. My name is Sliced Lime. I'm here to guide you through all the changes in this version compared to the previous full release, Minecraft 1.14.3. Let's get started with the gameplay changes. When breaking blocks, they would sometimes reappear very shortly and then disappear again. This was especially apparent when you were playing under laggy conditions or on a laggy server. This was not only a visual problem, as you could get nudged by the reappearing block, and especially if you're digging directly down on a pillar, it ran the risk of nudging you off of it. Suspicious Stew made from poppies has been changed. It now gives you night vision instead of a speed effect. If you have mending on a bow or a crossbow, then there was a problem where the bow would undraw when you received experience points. That would mean that you'd have to redraw a bow or reload a crossbow. Those bugs have been fixed in this version. Mending could also slow down block breaking if it happened on your tool while you were breaking blocks, also fixed in this version. There's some mouse related issues in the previous version. If you were moving your mouse while closing a user interface screen, then your player would wildly move towards the direction of your mouse movement. And also in the previous version, a change to the input systems meant that mouse acceleration started taking effect in the game on certain systems, which could make the game very hard to play. That has been fixed in this version. When a concrete powder block fell into a waterlogged block, then it would delete the waterlogged block and place the concrete instead of it, regardless of what that block was. That is fixed in this version. And sometimes servers would store up a whole bunch of events that happened while you were logged out and send it all to you when you logged back in. That was especially apparent with lightning strikes, where you could get a full thunderstorm's worth of lightning strike at once when logging back into a server. A single but very crucial world fix in this version. End city ships and end cities could get cut off by chunk borders sometimes. That has been fixed in this version. Let's move on to fixes with villages and villagers. Villagers now stock more items. That means that you can buy more items from them before they will run out of any given trade. There was also a problem with pricing in the user interface, where in multiplayer in specific, if you're playing on a server and the trade demand was high, the price would show incorrectly in the user interface. And this could also, for librarian villagers in specific, mean that they sold you the wrong book, that you got a different book when making the trade from the one that showed up under the mouse cursor before making the trade. How villagers restock their trades has changed in this version. Villagers will now wait with restocking until they have some trades that need restocking. Previously, they would just restock regardless at set points in a day. Those set points have also changed. The villagers can now restock at any point during the day, still only twice per day, and there's a 2-minute cooldown, but it can still happen when needed rather than at set times. They can also now work without restocking at the same time. Another change to restocking is that restocks now use the elapsed time rather than the daylight time. That means that they will now work even if the do daylight cycle game rule has been switched off. A couple of fixes to villager pathfinding as well. Villagers were unable to path towards their point of interest if that point of interest was too far away. That has been fixed in this version, together with a fix for villagers not properly shutting doors behind them when they walk through them. Some changes for curing villager zombies. If you cure a zombie villager, make it into a villager, that will now cause a permanent memory with that villager, and for the player who did the curing only. This means that the villager will forever remember your good deed, but it will not spread to other villagers. There's still a smaller bonus that will spread to other villagers nearby, however, but that one is not permanent and will decay over time. Another change to zombification and de-zombification is that villagers will now remember their gossip if they get turned into a zombie villager and then back again. Farmer villagers didn't stop and pick up their crops properly in the previous version, and they could also sometimes get full inventories which could create invisible items. Another problem was that when they wanted to give away food, they would give away all of their food. And when picking up a point of interest like a workstation or a bed, they could do so directly through a wall. Some fixes for zombie villager sieges in this version as well. Sieges could mean that zombies would spawn even when the do mob spawning game rule was set to false. That's fixed in this version. Zombies spawning with the sieges now obey all of the normal spawn rules, which means that they don't spawn in places that have been properly lit up. They don't spawn on mushroom islands, and they now spawn centered on a block, like otherwise. Other changes for hostile mobs. Silverfish and endermite spawners didn't work at all. That has been fixed in this version. And pillagers didn't pathfind properly around obstacles and out of water. That has been improved as well. There was an item duplication glitch in previous version. It involved having zombies drown, and that has been fixed in this version. When raids are disabled using the disable raids game rule, and you kill an illager captain, then that will no longer give you the bad omen effect. And a general fix for all types of mobs will no longer try to pathfind their way through bamboo blocks, which would often previously mean that they would get stuck. And mobs that are able to float would get stuck when trying to walk inside of waterlogged blocks, often meaning that they would just spin around in circles forever. And in general, mobs didn't try to avoid fall damage at all while pathfinding. That has been fixed in this version. Rabbits didn't need sand or grass to spawn in deserts and tundras anymore. That has been fixed as well. And occasionally when you take a parrot out of a boat, then it would just disappear. Some mobs, notably fish spawned from fish buckets, would count towards the mob cap, and that would mean that no natural mobs would spawn, fixed in this version. When a hostile wolf wanted to attack an enemy, it would have a problem doing so efficiently. And a fox that trusts a player is supposed to defend that player from any attacker. That also meant that they tried to defend players against themselves when the player accidentally caused harm to themselves. There's some visual fixes in this version as well. There was a problem on Mac OS, on Mac computers specifically, that meant that you got screen tearing regardless of how you set your VSync settings. That has been fixed in this version. The pillager texture had the arms reversed. That has been fixed in this version. All the wall signs displayed with the oak color on the maps. And there was a problem rendering acacial leaves at a distance. There was a slight offset to the pivot position when turning the camera in first person. On very wide displays this could create somewhat of a nauseating effect, and it has been removed in this version. Also, some Cyrillic and Bashkir letters have been added to the game font. A single sound fix in this version: when you deactivated a beacon by breaking some of its pyramid base, then it didn't play the beacon deactivation sound. It does now. A few small user interface fixes in this version. The player activity button on the realm screen has been disabled for a while, and it has now been completely removed. On the direct connect screen for a multiplayer server, it has stopped being possible to press enter to actually connect. That has been fixed in this version, and a single added splash text: ping the human. In terms of performance and stability, this version comes with a whole number of crash fixes as well as performance fixes for collisions, for render changes when placing or destroying blocks, and especially notable, a fix for Java using 100% CPU or more on Mac OS, even while idling in the main menu. And a similar bug fix has been done for servers, where on some systems the Minecraft server would use up 100% of a single CPU core always, even if the server was completely idle. Performance has also been improved for villager pathfinding, for structure generation, and for chunk loading, especially when traveling at high speed. There's also a fix for a memory leak, which would mean that the longer you had your client or server running, the worse it would run. Finally, there's a fix for a bug which meant that chunks would refuse to unload even though all players had left the area, and this also would pile up over time, leading to the game becoming slower and slower. Finally, there's an added command for performance, /debug report, and that will give you a file that contains more detailed information. If you have any performance related problems and you go to report a bug on the Minecraft issue tracker, then please make sure to include this file. And for our last section, let's talk about technical changes, starting with commands and permission levels. In the previous version, there was a bug where all commands were permissible when you ran them from a function. That is not normally what should be permitted. So that has been switched back, so game masters, that's level 2 in a config file, is now the default level. However, this is also now configurable with a new server.properties setting called function permission level. And you can set that to a higher permission level if you want to manage a server with commands like ban, kick, op, or stop from a function. Another permissions change is that reload and force load commands are now available to the game master permission level. That means that they are now available in command blocks and in functions. And finally, a technical change that probably doesn't matter to you unless you are a modder or a mod framework creator. The Realms library has been removed and Realms code is now a normal part of the Minecraft game codebase. And those are all the changes in Minecraft Java Edition 1.14.4. And that was all from me for this time. I hope you found this update video useful, and if you did, please help me out in return, leave a like and share it with your friends. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Minecraft news, then please subscribe to my channel, where I do update videos for every new snapshot, pre-release or release of Minecraft. My name is Sliced Lime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.